You sit here in Europe, in your cushy middle-class chairs. I'm serious about this. And you want to judge the African, or let's take the Chinese, because that's why, you know, an Apple or the Indonesian so-called sweatshop or whatever. And you want to tell me that $2 a day is not a dramatic improvement in their life? It is. And there's no way for them to get to the point to be as rich as you are unless they go through that phase. And if you deny them the ability to make $2 a day by charging for, by insisting the companies pay for, and therefore they withdraw completely from the market. Because his alternative is to go back to the farm. And you know what they did in the farms? 40 years ago, when the Chinese were all producing agriculture, they were dying of starvation. 40 to 60 million Chinese died of starvation under Mao. Suddenly, you've given them opportunity to actually attain middle classhood, to learn a skill, to have a profession, to make money, to make themselves into something. And by the way, the Chinese never complain about how much they're being paid. You guys complain. We complain in the West. Because yes, to our middle class comfy lives, that seems ridiculous. But that's because you've never lived in real poverty. Nobody in England has lived in real poverty the way the Chinese and the Africans and the Indonesians live. When you go, it's not my statistic, this is the United Nations, you can look it up online, right? Over the last 30 years, 1 billion, that's with a B, people have come out of poverty in Asia. Why? Because of capitalism, not because of foreign aid. Foreign aid doesn't help anybody, except the dictators who put them in the Swiss bank accounts. What helps poor countries is freedom. You give them the rule of law. You give them property rights. If you're interested in property rights and how it helps poor people, read Capital Ideas by Hernando de Soto, a Peruvian economist, a brilliant economist. You give them property. You give them capital. You give them a job. That's how you create wealth. Not by giving them handouts. So 1 billion people have come out of poverty. Now, I know some people have said, all you guys care about is the rich. Somebody said, what you care about is the rich deserve it. You know what? I don't care about the rich. They don't need taking care of, right? They're doing great. I care about the poor. I care about the poor. And the only system in human history, to help the poor, to help ambitious poor people rise out of poverty and become rich, has been capitalism. Free markets are the only cure for poverty. The only way in which you become rich so you don't have to have poor people is through capitalism. That's how this country became rich. That's how America became rich. That's how Hong Kong became rich. That's how South Korea became rich. There's no other way to do it. When we tried socialism, we get poverty. We get a return, a deterioration. We get a destruction of wealth, not a creation of wealth. So you want people to, you care about the poor and the middle class? I also care about the rich, because I think that they are villainized for, which is unbelievably unjust. But I care about young people who I want to maximize their opportunities. And I know that the only way to maximize people's opportunities is to give economic freedom to the world. And that should be the goal. And that means not sitting here and judging how much a laborer makes in Indonesia. As long, yeah, now if they're chained, if they're whipped, slavery is evil. Any kind of slavery is evil. But what's happening in the freer countries, that's not slavery. That's choices that people are making to make their lives better.